I always thought my family loved my wife until I overheard a Christmas Eve conversation that completely destroyed that belief. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, especially not about my own family. Christmas Eve was supposed to be simple, familiar, safe. Instead, it turned into the moment I realized I might never see my family the same way again. My wife and I went to my childhood home to spend the holiday with my mom and sister. We've been married for a few years now. No major drama, no big fights, no open hostility. At least, none that I knew of. My wife has always been warm, gentle, the kind of person who notices little things, the way the light hits the trees, the moon when it's bright, the comfort of holding a hot mug with both hands. She's quirky, sure, but in the way that makes life feel fuller, not embarrassing. That night, after dinner, she told me she needed some air. She went for a long walk and stopped by her mom's house nearby. Totally normal. She likes to decompress quietly. A few minutes later, I stepped into the garage myself. I needed a break too. The door wasn't fully closed, just cracked open, and that's when I heard them, my mom, my sister, talking about my wife. At first, I wasn't even sure. I thought maybe I misheard. Maybe they were joking. Maybe it was harmless teasing. I was wrong. I stood there for almost 10 minutes, frozen, listening as they completely tore her apart. They laughed about how, earlier that evening, my wife had stepped outside, looked up at the sky, smiled, and said hello to the moon. They mocked her voice, repeated it back in exaggerated tones, called it cringe. Then they talked about how she pointed out the sunset and suggested we all look at it together. My sister said, "Who even does that?" My mom said something like, "She acts like she's in a movie." What they don't know is that those moments are exactly why I fell in love with her. She taught me to slow down, to notice things, to appreciate being alive. Every sunrise and sunset she's ever asked me to look at has been worth it. But to them, it was something to sneer at. They complained about how she holds her coffee mug, both hands wrapped around it, and said it made her look childish. They criticized her hair. She sometimes braids it and wraps colorful string around it, holiday colors during the holidays. My mom called it so tacky and stretched the word out like she was savoring it. Then came the earrings, little festive ones, jingle bells, peppermint candies. Cringe, my sister said again, dragging out the word. They mocked her clothes, said she dresses weird. That night, she was wearing a plaid skirt, a white top, and a cardigan with snowmen stitched onto it. Cozy, festive, happy. Apparently, happiness is offensive. Then the conversation turned uglier. My mom and sister are both on Ozempic. They started talking about how they could get some for my wife. At dinner, my wife had said, very calmly, that she was happy with her body. They were offended by that. They said she needed to lose at least 20 pounds, that she was being pretentious by not wanting it. My sister actually gagged while talking about how much my wife ate. I felt my stomach drop. They mocked how she always asked for a smaller fork. They brought up how she once casually mentioned she thought a celebrity. My sister is obsessed with might be gay, something my sister has speculated about with other celebrities for years, but somehow when it was her favorite, it crossed a line. My sister called my wife psycho, disgusting. They complained that my wife doesn't get her clothes professionally tailored, something they apparently care about more than I ever realized. They mocked the fact that she read over 100 books this year. Does she not have any friends? My mom said. They laughed about the purse she was carrying, a Kate Spade bag, the bag I bought for her. They criticized her nails and said they were too plain, that she should get fake nails because of the shape of her hands. My sister kept repeating the word quirky in this fake, mocking tone, like it was an insult instead of a personality. Every sentence felt like a punch. I didn't interrupt them, not because I didn't want to, but because I was in shock. I genuinely couldn't process that these were the same people who hugged my wife at holidays, smiled to her face, pretended everything was fine. I left without saying goodbye. I went straight to my mother-in-law's house, where my wife was sitting quietly, reading on the couch. When she looked up and smiled at me, I almost broke. Later that night, I asked her something I never thought I'd need to ask. Has my family ever made you uncomfortable? She hesitated. That pause told me everything. She finally admitted that my sister might have anonymously harassed her online once about that same celebrity, but she never had proof, and she didn't want to start drama. My wife barely uses social media. She never talks about celebrities online. There was no reason for anyone else to even think of her. She also said she noticed my mom sometimes making faces when she took off her coat and revealed her outfits, but she brushed it off. She knows my mom cares a lot about appearances. She never told me because she didn't want to put me in the middle, and that hurt the most, because it meant she had been protecting me while I had no idea what was happening behind my back. I still haven't told her everything I heard. I don't know if I ever should. I don't want to plant insecurities in her mind that she doesn't have. I don't want her to question herself over people who clearly don't deserve that power. But I'm furious. I'm heartbroken. I feel like I just saw the real versions of my mom and sister, and I don't like what I saw. Part of me wants to call my mom and say, I heard what you said about my wife on Christmas Eve. I am beyond disappointed. She has done nothing but try to be kind and be part of this family. Unless you can genuinely apologize, do not contact me again. Another part of me wonders if cutting them off is extreme, if confronting them will just make things worse, if silence makes me complicit. And then there's my wife. Do I tell her the truth without details and let her decide how much contact she wants? Or do I shield her completely and carry this anger alone? So tell me honestly, would I be the asshole for confronting my mom and sister, or even cutting them off, after overhearing how cruel they really are to the woman I love?